and welcome to another episode of The Sharp Side of Paranormal. I am your host, Cody, and boy, this is going to be a great episode, not only because of my guest tonight, but I'm going to be dropping some paranormal tea that happened this week because, well, everybody has been messaging me about it and it has been very curious. So, yeah, it's just... a lot of drama has happened this week, and it's sad. It's very sad. Anyway, so a couple weeks ago, we went to FCI, or actually a little over a week and a half ago, we went to FCI Con 4. Brandon, you would message people, and that's the thing. We went to FCI Con, had a blast, absolute blast. Thank you for everybody that stopped by the tent and saw me. Had a great time. Emmett spent more than his $20 budget on crystals because, well, that's my son for you. He loves them, loves those crystals. So, yeah. Real quick, couple of sponsor stuff. Eloise Asylum, they're going to be having a hiring event for their haunt that happens later this year. You can go to Eloise Asylum on Facebook and see those dates, and you can go join the team at Eloise Asylum. They do have a paranormal lockdown event happening September 13th, so Friday the 13th. More details on their Facebook page. The historic Rainworth Lodge hosted its first public event this past weekend on the 22nd. Heard it was a great time, and Brandon, who is in the chat, can attest to that. Hi, James. It was awesome to meet you. Yeah, I was supposed to be at the Rainworth Lodge, but unfortunately could not make it due to a work commitment that I had to take care of. So, kind of sad. But yeah, so without delaying it anymore, it is. I can't make August 3rd because that is Emmett's birthday. But it is time for some paranormal tea. So, a little over a week ago, I announced that I was going to be speaking and vending at West Virginia State Penitentiary's Horror and Paracon in September. Super excited. Had a lot of great ideas that were going to happen. We were going to do some live shows with the podcast. We were going to have a panel and everything. And then yesterday I get a message that the guy that had asked me to join, Brandon, October 12th, I'll probably be at that one. Maybe. I think I might have an event that day. I don't know. We'll have to, we'll work on that out. Anyway, he is walking away from it. Because allegedly, now I have to say allegedly to cover myself, allegedly, the company that West Virginia State Penitentiary has hired had sold vendor spots for Pennhurst, for an expo at Pennhurst that didn't exist. And then when he was called out for it, had refunded the money and had admitted it. Because of that, I don't want to be anywhere near this guy. Like, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not. I have a history of calling out people that are frauds and take advantage of people. I did that with Ghost Hunts USA, helped people get their money back. I've done that with other stuff. Corbin Bentley and the Birdsall Manor. So for me to sit here and go to an event when that kind of stuff is happening is hypocritical. So because of that, I have pulled out. I know others have pulled out for that reason. Others have pulled out for other reasons. So if you see somebody that pulled out from that event, it's either because of what I just talked about, or they have other reasons that they pulled out. If you have any questions, go ask them the reason why they backed out. More than likely, it's for this. But I got some messages from people saying, "Hey, I know you're going to talk about it on your show. We pulled out for a completely different reason, and we don't want to be drug into the drama." I totally get that. Totally respect that. That's why I'm not saying any names or anything, but because of it, we will not be going to West Virginia State Penitentiary, which I'm very sad. I was strong pullout. Thank you, thank you. That's not true because I have 2 children. So I was very sad, but but there is a mini Paracon that's being planned as we speak. I know some of the details, but I can't tell you anything. But but that's fine. We will get to that. So anyway, let's get on with our guest. So we're gonna talk tonight about a hot topic in the paranormal community. And I thought nothing better than bringing someone from the church in to talk about it. So I reached out to Father Ken Torres, who is um, in the Catholic Church. I believe he is also an exorcist. If I'm wrong, he could correct me. Um, but I figured let's bring it. Yes, demons. That's what we're talking about. Demons and religion and the paranormal, and why it's so taboo when religion is a huge part of the paranormal. So, without further ado, I am going to bring Father Torres on. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Cody. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I am good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes. So for clarity, yes, I am Father Kenneth Torres, and I am with the Solomonic Order of St. Michael the Archangel. I have a governing body, the United Episcopal Catholic Communion. We are not affiliated with the Vatican, but we are recognized by the Vatican because we have valid holy orders. We have true and listed apostolic succession. Basically, well, like Lutheranism, Episcopalian, Orthodoxy are different branches of Christianity as well, and not that don't necessarily fall under the Vatican, but we are accepted by them. Yes, demons. Demons are so taboo. Did you want me to give a small introduction about myself before we start?
Yeah, let's give a small introduction so people know your credentials, because obviously you are a doctor. You have a doctorate.
Correct. Yes. So I have a non-medical doctorate degree. So I am Reverend Dr. Kenneth Torres. I'm a medically retired U.S. Marine veteran, infantry combat. I was in Iraq. I'm a former government contractor. Then I went to seminary school. I received my master's in pastoral counseling, which allows me to be a chaplain. Received over 10,000 clinical hours there. Then I worked towards my doctorate degree in divinity and theology. I am also a board certified mental health coach. I am a director, the manager for the Spanish division of the War and Legacy Foundation. And yes, my ministry, I have a church, I am a priest, and I am an exorcist. All in short. Tongue twister. Hey, Jazz, how are you?
So I have to say, and I know a lot of people that are listen. I'm Lutheran. I grew up.
Yeah,
I'm part of the ELCA, so I'm a watered down Catholic.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, hey, you still have faith. You know, that's all that matters.
yeah,
You know,
Catholic.
I tell you, what doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what form of Christianity you serve. It doesn't. I don't care what religion you are. You know, I think we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. But one thing I would say is that religion and the paranormal, they don't mix. You know, it just doesn't go hand in hand. You can be a person of faith and ground yourself and protect yourself, but you also have to realize too, the paranormal is a little different. And I think what ends up happening is because so much of our religions and our faith are intrinsically involved with the supernatural and the afterlife, that there's a natural inclination to want to believe that everything is either demonic or, people want to get super religious and holy, being investigators, especially when you're doing urban exploration. But I believe that you can be a person of faith and put aside your religion and enjoy the methodology in a scientific manner, and I think that's the healthiest way to approach it, with an open mind. Because if you approach it from a very religious standpoint, then you just have a linear mindset, and you're not allowing your mind the opportunity to grow, grasp different concepts.
Now, here's the thing, and this is just my. I don't get why paranormal is so taboo when it comes to religion,
Yeah,
when they kind of go a little bit hand in hand. They
yeah,
really do.
yeah,
So, and I've had friends come to me and like, Cody, you shouldn't be doing the paranormal. Um, that's the work of the devil and all that stuff. And I just like, I know it's taboo. I mean, it's not as taboo as it used to be. It's a little more mainstream, but there's a big part of it. I mean, let's be honest, we have spiritual warfare that's going on.
Correct. All the time. Even the magisterium of the doctrine of faith recently put out a new updated and revised letter about a month ago, talking about Marian apparitions and supernatural things, that's ghosts and sightings. And they don't classify that as demonic. What they have mentioned and have said is that God works in mysterious ways and allows things to happen. The caution is just to be wise and use discernment when you're communicating with spirits, or if you're going to investigate these sort of things. But biblically speaking, there's nothing in the Bible that says you can't be a paranormal investigator. I mean, show me where. I mean, I was in seminary school for over 8 years, and I have never seen anywhere where it says biblically in the scripture you can't be a paranormal investigator. It's not there.
And it's here, we're going to show this right here. It says, because the Bible says something about seeking spirits being the devil's work.
Yep. And a lot of that often is related to the Old Testament, which is the Old Covenant. And not that the Old Testament doesn't matter, but now we are under a new covenant with Jesus Christ. So that was the law. That law was the time for the Israelites. So we are under a new covenant. And I can understand the interpretation there. But I always tell people too, as well, whatever your doctrinal beliefs are, I can respect that. But I also tell people there is a scientific approach to this. You can approach this from a scientific manner, in a scientific way, using equipment, and you can have an experience and learn about the different things and experience the supernatural. But you can also, if you are a person of faith, you can also, protect yourself, guard yourself, whatever it is that you want to do before you do these investigations.
Absolutely. And I listen, I ground myself. Like, it depends on the location. If it's a darker location, I will I'll say a prayer, and then I go out, I'll ground myself outside. I believe, using the Mother Earth. I mean, God gave us, he created the earth for us, so we might as well use the natural elements that are out there. And then afterwards I'll do the same thing. But if it gets dark, I will step outside, and I'll say I carry I carry a cross and a Glock.
Is it a Glock 19? 24 round? Padre also carries a Glock as well. ABC, always be carrying.
Always be carrying. Yes, there we go.
I'm a veteran, you know what I mean? And although I'm a person of faith, I still have to protect my sheep and my family.
Absolutely. By the way, thank you absolutely for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I know you probably hear that a lot, and thank yous don't really repay our veterans for what they have done. But, I really appreciate it. But, you can, I was going to make a joke, but, you carry the Glock. Hey, if you want to see Jesus Christ a little sooner, I can arrange that for you.
Well, just like we used to say in the Marine Corps, it's God's job to forgive Bin Laden. It's our job to arrange that meeting. So,
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'll carry protection stones. I'll carry stones, and I'll say a prayer before I go into a location. And I know the risk of going to some of these locations, that attachments could happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and this is here we go. We're gonna dive right into it.
Let's do it. Let's go for it. I'm on here for it, my friend.
The hot button topic right now is
demons.
Demons. And it's funny, and I don't know if it's you said it, but other people have said, why would a demon whose goal is to ruin
souls,
destroy
lives, hang out in the haunted house,
why would they be in an abandoned house? Why wouldn't they be at the mall, or at a football game, or in the White House? I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, so yeah, so I think So I think the thought process is there that we obviously are taught about spiritual warfare and demonic activity growing up of the faith. And it's true. Like if we would close our eyes, we would see that there is a spiritual warfare going on if you believe in that sort of thing. I also wrote it in my book. I wrote a book last year, and it was a small guide that I wrote for paranormal investigators, short little book, 77 pages, a guidebook. And it's called Introduction to the Demonic. And it's basically questions and answers that normal, random people would think, or misconceptions. So no, demons do not live in abandoned buildings, right? They don't. They don't. They don't abide in those places. Now, the only exception to that is, let's say, if that person, that place is tied to some sort of dark ritual, if there was some sort of occult or some sort of practice or ritual to invoke that demonic energy, that may be a different story, but that's highly rare. That is highly rare. See, are demonic activity is highly rare. Yeah, now it is true. When you go into a building and you go into a location, you try to communicate with spirits. The mere communication of spirits can attract negative and darker energies that may be in the surrounding areas, given the right circumstances. Which is why it's always important to protect yourself, ground yourself, be mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit. Because we're not only talking about demons, we're talking about spirits themselves, right? Human spirits, they can attach themselves to you and they are attracted to energy. So if you're not in the right mind frame, if you're not in the right, mindset, and your energy is low and you're depleted and you just had a fight with your husband, with your wife, you're not feeling well, you've got a fever, you've got a flu, then that's could be the right recipe for lower vibrational energy and an attachment to happen. And let me get this misconception out the way. Demonic entities are not lower vibrational energies. People say they're lower vibrational energies. Why? Because they're in hell. No, these are celestial beings, completely different than lower vibrational energies. We as human beings, I believe, are lower vibrational energies because we are weak, because we have flaws, because we have guilt, we have pleasure, we have certain weaknesses as humans that we have that make us lower vibrational energy that can attract other things.
See, I will agree with that. And here's the thing. So I there are I'm not going to say their names, but there's a group going around claiming pretty much every location's or not every location's demonic, a lot of them, and they claim that they've had demonic attachments. And I'm trying to use this as an educational moment because you can have an attachment, but it's doesn't mean that it's demonic.
Exactly, right? So I believe in free will. God gave us free will. We certainly don't know what happens in the afterlife. But I believe, according to my faith and my experience, that the spirits that we do communicate with are some sort of beings or entity, not entities. I got to be careful because, those are two different words. But I think the spirits themselves can be in some sort of limbo or purgatory type of state. And so naturally they're going to have that humanity inside of them. They're going to still have that personality. So let's say Uncle Joe was a douche canoe in real life and he was abusive and he cursed and he drunk a lot. Let's say Uncle Joe crossed over immediately, unexpectedly. He's confused. He's still upset. He's still the same person until he can cross over to whatever his judgment is. So that in itself can be, that can be misinterpreted as some sort of demonic energy. Bad people are bad people. And so they're going to project some sort of imagery, they're going to project some sort of energy. And I think often that's what people get confused. Also, too, I think a lot of it has to do with psychosomatics. Psychosomatics, psyching yourself out to go to a location and you're hearing all of these stories about the bad things that are happening and you're already putting yourself in that mind frame, in that mindset. Well, I need something to happen because this group on TV and YouTube said that if I go to this place, to this exact location, they got scratched. I'm expecting that. It's the buildup, it's that energy that you're exerting. So yeah, you might attract something, but it's also psychosomatics. We have a lot of emotional responses as human beings, and it is really hard to try to control those things. I try to be a rational individual and not have an emotional reaction. So, hey, when I go to a location, I'm going to go with respect, right? But I'm not coming in with preconceived notions. I'm not going to say this. No, I'm going to go in. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to do my little prayer. I'm going to pray for my team, that sort of stuff, and I'm going to go and try to communicate with respect and a scientific method. Yes, I may be Father Ken, but when I do these investigations, urban exploration, all right, 'cause there's a difference between urban exploration and residential investigations. Two different things. So when I go to these urban explorations, okay, cool. I'm mindful and cognizant that there's energies out there, but I'm going to do it in a respectful manner. But I'm automatically not going to jump to the idea, oh, it's demonic, because we don't know. And then what is demonic? Who qualified you to ascertain and to make an assessment that it's demonic? Who also qualified you to make an assessment that it is not demonic? Where did you go? What seminary school did you study at? What theology course did you take to help you discern this activity? And that's the problem. Now, is it Zoroastrian demonology? Is it Judaic demonology? Is it Islamic demonology? Is it Taoism? Is it Shintoism? Is it Buddhism demonology? What type of demonology are you an expert in? That's what I ask.
And and that's the thing. There are really no experts in the paranormal field. Now, there are highly
No.
educated people in the paranormal field, like yourself. I mean, you went to school, you went to
Yeah.
seminary school,
Yeah.
you've done this stuff. So,
Yeah.
I would say you're more qualified to make a judgment call on what something is.
And even then, I make mistakes because I'm not an expert. And that's why it's always important to have people that are rational, that have experience surrounding you, like my colleagues at the War and Legacy Foundation, my colleagues, my deacons, my Reverend Mother Superior from the order. You know, they all have experience. When I'm working with the foundation, it's a different mindset. We're dealing with a lot of residential cases. When I get referrals to my religious order, those tend to be a lot more darker in nature, in the sense that people think that they are facing some sort of demonic attachment, which often is not. Now, so far with the foundation, I've worked over 200 residential cases, and there's only been one case that's still active that I can't talk about that truly is a demonic case, that truly shaped the tide of last year for many of us. It truly changed a lot of our lives. And, even with experience, each case is different, but there are going to be some cases that do challenge you. There are going to be some cases that are tough. And this certainly was a tough case, even being a person of the faith. This one shook me to my core. And I'll leave it at that.
And now you say have you ever been part of an exorcism?
Yes, I have 4 documented exorcisms that I've partaken in. One of them has been true possession, the other have been infestation, manifestation, and oppression, the different stages. The one that I participated with in my order, the individual levitated off the chair and walked off the wall. So, how's that for Hollywood?
Yes, yes. And now here's the thing. Now we've all seen I mean, most of us have seen The Exorcist.
Yeah,
Some of that is based on true stuff, and obviously a lot of that is Hollywood.
yeah,
And but I mean that stuff does happen. Let's be
yeah.
honest.
I mean, there are extraordinary circumstances in which certain things like that can happen, and that is, what the demonic uses to destroy you, to distract you. It's games for them. They're trying to distract you psychologically, which, of course, as a human being, you're like, oh my goodness, what did I just see? What did I just experience? But you have to realize that you're there for the individual. You're there to help the person. And so you have to keep focused on the task at hand. And that's where faith comes in. Now, the paranormal and the demonic are two completely different things, in the sense where, yes, you can be involved as a paranormal investigator, but the demonic is a whole different level of energy itself. If you truly have experienced the demonic activity, then you would know the difference. There's nothing fun or great about dealing with actual demonic energy. The most important part to realize is that when you're dealing with demonic activity or infestation or oppression or even the full possession, you are genuinely dealing with a person that is broken, that is suffering, a family that is suffering. And there is nothing cool about seeing someone suffer, not being able to eat, not being able to drink water, scratch marks, bruises on their body, supernatural things happening that you can't explain. Not only at the location where you're performing the exorcism, but even surrounding your own life. I did write a book about it, Jess, but this one is just more demonic education. The truth is, I still have a lot more to go. I have a lot more experience. I've only been an active exorcist for the past 4 years. I have been an investigator in clergy for over 15, but appointed exorcist about 4.5, 5 years now. And so with that comes time and experience. And I've got colleagues who have been exorcists way longer than I have, and they have different circumstances and different experiences that I can't, that I can't relate to.
And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. You can't just go out and say, "I'm an exorcist."
Yeah. How often do you see me post that on Facebook?
That
Never.
you
Yeah. Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
no, and the reason I say that is because the same people that I was talking about earlier
Yeah.
have claimed that they have performed exorcisms, and one of them they did over FaceTime.
Okay. So that's quite plausible, and I can see the reason why. So during the pandemic, in the foundation, we did have a case where we had a team in Europe, and there was a young individual who was actually possessed. Um, and so the Vatican stepped in and they sent priests over to the house, and they were both thrown against the wall. They flew against the wall. They never came back. So we were sitting there virtually advising the family at hand because there was no other option. So we had a team member in Europe, several of them. One of them was clergy. One of them was clergy, wasn't an exorcist, but we were able to pray for the individual, do a rite, so to speak, virtually because of the pandemic. So it is possible. You can pray for a person virtually. The power of God has no limits. The Holy Spirit has no limits. When you have faith, nothing is impossible. But if you're just exercising people on Zoom for 20 bucks a pop, then that's a problem.
Right. No, it's just these people don't have, I guess, formal
They're not
training.
credible. They're not credible. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have formal training, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
a- a-
And although it is true that, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off because but you got me going, Cody. It is true. I do believe that if you are a person of the faith, it does say biblically that we do have the authority to cast out demons. We have the ability, but sometimes we lack the authority. And sometimes we lack the authority because we're not in a state of grace or justification. You take the story in the Bible where this individual was possessed by the demons, and these Pharisees tried to exorcise him. And this guy said, John, I know of, Jesus, I know of, but of you, I know nothing of. And this demon possessed man ravaged the Pharisees, not the Pharisees, but they were Jewish priests to the point where they almost died. Now, why did that happen? Because they didn't understand where the power was coming from. They only understood tradition, and they thought that just because they wore the vestments or they read a book, that they had authority. That's not the case. And a lot of people lack the authority, spiritual authority.
now, is there like when you in the church, when you become an exorcist, is there like additional training? Do you have to like this is kind of
Yeah.
it's gonna be like kind of a joke question, but a serious question at the same time. Do you have to like
Yeah.
do you have to have like 5 witnessed exorcisms before they sign you off or something like that, and then you get your little I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
certified exorcist card?
So for me, yeah. Yeah, so for me, I just went online. I took an ABC test. I got 10 questions right. I watched the video. I read the alphabet of demonology and angels, and there you go. I was certified.
No,
But
no,
on a
I'm
serious, but on a
on a
serious
serious
note,
note.
no, you have to sit down on a couple of exorcisms, at least 4 or 5, and then your archbishop has to sign off on it. The reason I became an exorcist is because I was appointed. I didn't want to do this. As a chaplain, I was focusing on other ministries, veterans outreach, pastoral counseling, coaching. And so my archbishop at the time was like, "We need you here in South Carolina." What for? Okay, well, we have something going on. You walk into the place, there's a priest, boom, there's an exorcism taking place. Guess what now, Father Ken? You are now an exorcist. So I was appointed. So you have to go through training. But that's the thing, though. This isn't conventional Vatican. We're not under Vatican authority. So we don't have access to all of those cases like they do. So the training, is through word of mouth, through experience, dialoguing with other experienced clergy. I have a lot of Lutheran friends, different evangelicals. We have a tight knit community who I believe, honestly, they do have God's grace and authority. And so you learn, you watch, you experience, and then you're out there. But even with this ministry, this vocation itself, it's always learning, it's constant reading, it's constant studying, it's being in a state of grace, more importantly.
Now, and that's the thing. So speaking of the Vatican, they have a chief exorcist. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is they have like an exorcism team that
Y-
like.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, everybody knows about Father Gabriele Amorth, who was the Vatican's exorcist, lead exorcist, and everyone saw the Pope's exorcist. No, the priest cannot get possessed. If a priest gets possessed during an exorcism, then that's a problem. A priest will never tell the demon, "Take over me." You just can't do that. That's not part of the calling. That's just Hollywood. But yeah, the Vatican does have, an exorcism team. A lot of archdioceses, a lot of parishes around the country do have an exorcist that is overseen by an archbishop, and even that process within itself, has to be quite strenuous to dictate whether or not there truly is a possession. For our order, and even for the regular church, Big C, Big Catholic Church, 6 to 7 months, psychological evaluations, mental evaluations, physical evaluations, prayer, discernment, studying, living a fruitful life, seeing where you're at with your spiritual faculties. Are you going to church? Are you praying? Are you fasting? Overall, how did this happen? What's the entry point? What is going on in your life specifically that would allow you to be afflicted? And God allows these things to happen for two reasons. One of them to test our faith, and the other reason is to ultimately embarrass the devil because he does not have authority over us. No, Padre, if God is so awesome and kind, why does he allow these things to happen? Well, I don't have an answer to that because I don't know God's mind. But I can tell you from my experience, it's to glorify God and it's also to test people's faith. Just like every day in our life, our faith is tested. Every day we wake up, new challenges, new experiences. And based on our character and who we are is how we face these situations.
I agree. And like if you like you said earlier, if you're sick or like if you're like and not just physically sick, but mentally sick, like if you're depressed, the devil will use whatever he can to try to beat you down and win. And like
Yeah,
I said, and I believe I honestly believe we do have spiritual warfare happens every day.
yeah, I agree. And then also, too, I would like to say that sometimes it's not always the devil and sometimes it's not always God. You have to remember that we are also human beings and we are flawed and we have natural physical disabilities. We are going to go through stress. We are going to go through anxiety. So a lot of it, people will blame God or the devil, but sometimes it's just humanity, how we are. We are fragile. We are volatile, and we are not. We are no exception to the illnesses of this world.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just, "Oh, no, I don't feel good." Oh, it's the devil. It's the
Yeah,
devil.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, no, no, we
Just a
we have a
bad
choice.
day, you made some bad choices, or you just woke up on the left side of the bed, and the day is just not going right. We have to stop blaming the supernatural for everything as well, and that's one of the biggest things that even in the foundation and with my church ministry, we have to convey to people. It's like you have to take accountability for your actions, right? And it's also a two-way street. We just don't come in and get rid of it. It requires a complete submission of your life to God or whatever you believe in, right? It requires a complete change of who you are, living a fruitful spiritual life, getting the help that you need physically, mentally, and emotionally so that you can be on the right path.
Crystal asked a good question. Has there ever been a connection between exorcism cases that you have noticed?
So, encountering the same entity twice, is that what you mean? Well, what I can tell you, what the connection that I have seen with the cases that I've worked has been a lot of trauma and mental illness. We've had many clients that have undiagnosed mental conditions or they face some sort of trauma where they don't get it treated. They go through life being bitter, sad. It weighs them down, it eats them up, and they develop some sort of mental illness. And what ends up happening is they either dabble with the occult, which here's what I have to say about that. I don't have a problem with the occult itself. I don't. I think that you can study the occult and learn about different things, but it's the mere practice of it where it can be dangerous. And so you have people that have these physical and mental conditions and these underlying traumas that all of a sudden become susceptible to a supernatural attack because they have no faith, because they are broken, because they are weak, because they've given up on life or because they've summoned something or if they've made an agreement with something. So the common connection that I have with cases that I've seen is trauma.
So you haven't come across the same entity twice, or
Nope, I have not.
okay? Well, I mean, that's good news and bad news, though. I mean, that certainly says there's quite a few of them out there.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, it's more than just the Encyclopedia of Angels and Demons. I mean, half of the armies of heaven fell. So we don't know how many other entities or demonic beings are out there. We also know that there's a hierarchy and that there's legion, but there's more that we don't know. And I'm not certain that all the names in these books are accurate, because I think as human beings, we want to control the narrative. And so maybe, Malak, or whatever his name is not his real name, but we just gave him that name because we want to control the situation and we want to identify something with something.
And you and I had a brief conversation about this because I bought the book, the Encyclopedia of,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. How are you
and
enjoying that?
I've gotten like 3 pages read. I have been super busy, but
Yeah.
like I said, in our little conversation, a demon wouldn't really tell us their name because don't you have to use their name as part of the exorcism ritual?
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is once you are able to spiritually, through God's grace and Holy Spirit and the Immaculate Virgin Mary, Blessed Mother, and Saint Benedict, once you get their name, then you have authority over them and you can expel them. But what I'm referring to is not the actual exorcism cases. There are a lot of people that have all these different names for all these demonic entities, but where did they get these names from? How do they know their names? Demons are liars. And so maybe they think that they know that this is this guy's real name, but it's not. Maybe Tony isn't Tony. Maybe it's Mike. You never know.
I agree with exactly. We as humans like to control the narrative because
Hmm.
we think we know it all, and we don't. That's the problem. We don't. Like listen. I have only been in the paranormal world for about 2 years now. I know less than half of 1% of 1% of 1%.
It's a learning process. I mean, and even the paranormal is more than ghosts, banshees, elves, fae. The supernatural itself, I also think it encompasses our spirituality as well as a certain point, understanding quantum physics, understanding science, understanding different things. But the supernatural is just so vast to say that you're an expert. I mean, yeah, maybe you could be in this field for 20, 30 years and, you have a lot of experience, which experience does help out, but doesn't mean we know everything. I certainly don't have all the answers, and I will never know. I will never pretend to know that I have all the answers because
Well,
that'd be unethical.
there is one person that knows all the answers, and that's God himself.
Exactly. Exactly. Amen.
And and then when we go to heaven, we can ask him all about these questions and
Yeah. Yeah.
and hopefully get those answers. But
Yeah. That'd be nice.
listen, I'm in the paranormal just because I mean, obviously history of the buildings that we go to. I do want to get the spirit stories, but also like I've done residential cases. Um, Brandon, if he's still in the chat, was part of one that I did. Um, a lot of it was psychosomatic.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a different dynamic too. Have you noticed the difference between urban exploration and residential? It's a completely different dynamic. You have to understand sociology in a sort. You have to be mature. You have to be wise. You have to be able to disseminate information. You have to be able to try to dissect every story. You have to get the dichotomy of the whole case in a sense, right? And then you go from there. But a lot of it is mostly families. They've watched the Conjuring movies or they see something and all of a sudden they get scared and they have a shadow coming out their eye and out the corner of their eye and you're like, oh, it's a ghost. It probably isn't. It's probably just your mind playing tricks on you.
And that's Benito asked a question: is it possible to start having demonic activity after watching demon movies like Conjuring?
Well, here's what I say. A lot of these movies are based, on actual cases. And what I would say is just don't watch those movies. But if you're going to watch them and if you're a person of faith, just protect yourself. Just be cautious. We don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I mean, I think things can happen, but I haven't had an experience where someone's watched a movie and all of a sudden, there's true activity happening. What I have seen from my experience is somebody watches a movie and there is false activity happening because their brain is playing tricks on them because we like to be scared. Because when we watch these movies, our adrenaline is pumping, our adrenaline is moving. But yes, I suppose given the right circumstances, something could happen if you watch these movies, but just don't watch them.
And well, I watch them. I mean,
I like them. I
my
like
my
scary movies,
my
and
wife
and
loves them.
yeah, I watch them, and for me, they are just a form of entertainment, and that's what they are for me. And what I do is I watch a lot of these movies because I also give lectures. I teach at the University of Magic in Patty Negri, and I also give private classes. And so I'm very fascinated with the influence of pop culture and the supernatural on mainstream America today. And so a lot of the courses I give too are pop culture and demonic activity, pop culture and supernatural hauntings, because it's interesting to see how people eat this. They eat this like candy, and so they automatically assume what the movie is portraying can happen in real life. Yeah, there can be some truth to it, but what you see on TV, you're probably not ever going to have to or want to experience.
Exactly. I listen. I mean, the movies are so fun to watch, but
Yeah.
on the flip side, that's not how things go. I mean,
However, there are some movies that I have watched that as soon as I start watching it, I get really nauseated and dizzy, and I feel like throwing up, and that's my cue to stop watching it. So the newest Omen that came out about a month and a half ago at the movie theaters, um, it came out on Hulu, and I watched it. The very first 20, 30 minutes, I was nauseated. I was vomiting. I stopped watching the movie. Then I came back and I finished it, and then so I saw how the movie was, and so there was some truths to the movie when it comes to dark occult rituals and the mark of the beast and the Antichrist, but it was just mild in itself, killing babies and that sort of stuff. I just can't stomach that,
no.
So for me, those are the things that I stay away from. So if you're watching a movie and you don't start feeling good and it just gives you like the heebie-jeebies, just stop watching it. Just walk away from it.
See, that's that. Listen, I watch scary movies, but like, there are times that, like, listen, I'm a former EMT. I've seen some. I mean,
Yeah,
you're a former, vet, so you've seen some
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah.
uh, I got nauseated at this one movie, *Malignant*, and my wife is just sitting there, just fine, and I'm literally in paramedic school, and I see like really horrible stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm getting nauseated, and she's just fine. But like when she sees blood in real life, she can't handle it. Like she
Well,
freaks out.
just like me, I watch a movie and the animals die. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm weeping like a grade school kid. It's just I can't see animals suffer and all that.
No.
But for the majority of the time, movies are just entertainment value. I did recently go. I wanted to watch this movie with Russell Crowe last week called The Exorcism 2024, and basically it's a movie within a movie, and it's in the movie they're trying to remake The Exorcist, and it talks about the bad things that happened. And so what I got out of that movie was really deep and powerful. It was dark and gloomy. And it was basically the mindset of an individual that's suffering from trauma, that's suffering from abuse, an individual who doesn't have his life in order, a person who still feels guilt and shame. And that was conveyed and it was felt through the movie. And that's what I got out of it. And that's a lot that is a lot of what our clients who are afflicted are experiencing that same ambiance. They're just stuck in this black and white world where they can't function, they can't focus. Their past is eating them alive. They're in depression, they're in denial, they're in substance abuse, they're using alcohol, they have traumatic events, they're hurt, they're suffering. So yeah, there's nothing cool about that stuff.
Right. And it's not just, when we watch these movies, and stuff happens, it's not always just psychosomatic or we're imagining things. Um, I'll talk a little bit about the residential case. Um, the dad in this residential case has a seizure disorder, and there's plenty of research out there that people that have seizures or have seizure activity can actually create their own force and or their own electrical field, and can disturb that and create or manifest
Yeah.
paranormal activity when there's nothing actually there. It's just they're
Some people can manifest tulpas and egregores, and we've seen it happen. Those are thought forms that are brought to life by an individual's thoughts. Just like we had a case where this individual was experiencing activity in the home, but it was during COVID, and things were happening. And I saw some of the video of things happening, right? Unexplainable. But when we removed the individual from the environment, there was no activity. We brought the person back into the environment. Guess what? So the individual was creating poltergeist activity with their mind because they were stressed. They lost their job. It was the pandemic. They lost a family member. It's amazing what the mind can do. And it's not demonic because even science and research can tell you that there are certain things that we can do with our brain. Even the CIA, I think in the early 50s during the Cold War, they used psychics to change the tide of war. And they were pretty consistent and accurate.
that is a whole nother wormhole.
That's a whole nother wormhole, man.
Like I guarantee the CIA has got a team of psychics right now.
Probably. Who knows?
Who knows?
There's a lot of stuff going on out there, but I don't know. I don't have access to those things. I'm out. I've been out for over 10 years, 15 years. I still work with the Coast Guard, but I only have an operational security clearance. I don't have access to the deep state stuff.
Yes, it's the deep state. No, it's just, but like people automatically think if something dark happens, it's demonic.
Yeah.
Demonic. We
Yeah.
gotta keep going back to the demonic because that's the big thing right now.
It is, just like I love Adam Kimmel. I think he's out in Indiana too. You know Adam Kimmel?
Yeah, he was on my show.
Yeah.
I'm actually
yeah.
I'm actually wearing the
Yeah,
Fairfield
I
County.
love that guy. I love that guy. He made a post like maybe 6 months ago about demonic activity and being religious, and I agree with him. You can separate religion and demonic activity, and not everything is demonic in nature. So I love that guy. He's a great, wonderful individual.
He is, and he doesn't believe in demons either.
And you know what? And that's fine.
Exactly.
I tell people if you don't believe in it, that's perfectly fine because it's not meant for you to believe in it. That's fine. That's fine. There are things out there that are unexplainable, but there are people that are just not susceptible to it, and that's okay. Leave them alone. Don't try to bring that into their world.
Exactly.
If they don't believe in something, just leave them alone.
Because then they're less likely to actually have stuff happen if they don't believe in it. Like, yeah, I don't know. But no, I love Adam Kimmel. Like I said, I was at FCI Con last week.
Yeah, I'd like to get a chance to go and explore his, do an investigation of his property that he owns. I think it is is it a seminary?
Madison Seminary.
Yeah, that's the one, Madison Seminary. Yeah, I'd like to go there one day and check it out.
Well, that's funny that you just mentioned that because I am setting up an investigation at Madison Seminary.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Nice.
for my birthday, which is in December.
Oh, December what?
5th.
Nice. My wife's in December as well. Actually, no, that's no, December is something else. My wife's is October, Halloween area.
He forgot his wife's birthday.
No, I was thinking about because I have a lot of projects going on. So I'm like,
no, I'm just.
I know.
I say that because I forgot my wife's birthday's on Monday. So.
Oh, jeez.
So.
And even that in itself, man, that is one thing. Being in this vocation and having a family, it is really hard. It's a delicate balance. There's nothing easy about what I do. There's nothing easy about the caring of souls. There's nothing easy about, chaplaincy and pastoral counseling and trying to comfort people in need.
Exactly. It's people don't understand that, and I'm going to talk from a first responder aspect of things, that the emotional toll that a first responder goes through, it's kind of the same like a priest or a reverend or a pastor when they're dealing with all this stuff over and over again. Their mental health also gets affected. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, there are days when when I'm a little edgy. There are days when I'm a little upset, and it happens. It's human nature, to sit here and say that I'm perfect and that I'm always smiling. And, I always try to smile, but I have my feelings. I go through my range of emotions. I get moody. I have my breakdown sometimes, but it's how you recover from it. It's identifying that, what, maybe I need to take some time for myself, take a few hours away. Hey, no more chaplaincy calls for today. Family's important. And that's what I do. So now I give myself a time frame. So Sundays and Mondays are off, right? Sundays and Mondays, I do nothing with the paranormal, right? I just do my homilies and I just do some pastoral counseling. But Sundays and Mondays are my days off. Tuesday through Saturday, I work cases, I analyze cases, I assess cases, I help other people.
And now here's the thing. I think it's important to have downtime.
Hmm.
Um, no matter what career field you're in, whether you're a truck driver or you do the paranormal or you're in healthcare or whatever it is, downtime is always important.
Yeah.
However, it seems like my downtime, I find the most peace is when I'm actually doing the paranormal, when I'm out at a location and I'm investigating. I find myself at the most peace.
Coping mechanisms, those are just hobbies, and there's nothing wrong with those things.
It's a
As
very
long as you
expensive
realize
hobby.
that it brings you that it brings you joy, comfort, and happiness, that's all that matters. Just remember to make sure that if you get tired, you get exhausted, just take a break from it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Now, Crystal asked another question. Have you ever had experiences after you leave an exorcism? For example, has anything followed you home?
No, not after an exorcism, but during a residential case, I came back home with my team, and I think I forgot to pray for us because we were so tired. I got home, and all three of my dogs had a seizure at the same time, different parts of the house. So went outside, did a prayer, prayed for my dogs. Everything was good. Maybe that was, I don't know what that was, but that's the only thing that I can explain that's happened, but not after an exorcism. Now, before the exorcism, yeah, things happen. You get attacked spiritually, physically, mentally, weird phone calls with distorted voices in the background, things falling, things not working, things catching on fire all of a sudden. Uh, your animals get sick. And that's one thing, too, with this. I have to be really careful as well too because I, have a connection to my wife, and so everything that I do is also tied into her. So I have to be really careful to protect her and my family and everything that I do with prayer. And so I try to keep her away from this part of my life because she doesn't like it, but she understands that it is a ministry. But I also have to respect my wife's wishes when she's like, "Hey, babe, nothing this weekend. You got it." That's just the way it is.
Yeah, my wife she's not the yes, Brandon. I do live with a demon. Um, she hates that I say that. She says
Yeah.
if I keep calling her a demon, the only way that people are going to talk to me is through a Ouija board. So, uh,
Oh man.
no, I love her. She'll go to paranormal stuff with me, but she's not like super into it
Yeah.
like I am. And she was actually at my first ever paranormal investigation was actually at one of the properties Adam Kimmel. Really? Really? Just as I'm telling that joke is when she joined to watch.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. It's like she knows. It's
J-
like
Trust me, they know.
it's
Wives
a,
know.
it's demonic activity.
Yeah.
So no, one of the first paranormal investigations, um, every time I do it, she pops in every time. So our first investigation that I ever did was at Indiana State Sanatorium, and um, she went, and we had a good time, and she laughed at me because I screamed like a little girl, but um, and then she was just with me at Fairfield County Infirmary a couple of weeks ago. Um, and I was using Spirit Talker app, and I know people are kind of torn on the app, but we were in the basement and there was a coffin, and I said, "Hey Taylor, get inside there." Or I didn't even say her name. I said, "Hey, get inside there," and she's like, "No." Then the Spirit Talker says, "Ha ha, dare," and then it says Taylor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Brandon, I don't think it's bullshit. It literally said her name. It said her name right after I said I. We'll get into an argument later about this, but no. So she does go to the paranormal stuff with me, but her concern is me always is bringing something home with me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the concern my wife has as well too. And we have to be mindful of those things, which is why I say if you are a person of faith, just always protect yourself, ground yourself in whatever you do. And because you never know. And it's not even spirits. It's the energy of other people. Other people just have funky vibes and you bring that home with you and it's disgusting.
Exactly. Um, again, I just go to these locations and do this because I love the history. I love researching and trying to figure out. I mean, obviously, I know what happens when we die. There's a heaven and a hell, and I believe that. But my question is, why? Why are there still spirits here?
Well, and that's a really good question that I can't answer. I'm not God, but I do think that He allows things to happen, and it's just part of this world that we're in, and we experience them.
Exactly. But I want to know why certain spirits are still here and why. I mean,
Yeah, maybe some spirits don't have closure. They die suddenly and they need closure. And that's been my experience as well. It's just like a sudden death, and they're just still in a phase of shock, or they have unfinished business.
and that's what I'm trying to figure out. And
Yeah,
like you said, I mean, you said it in the beginning. We got to take paranormal as like a scientific
yeah.
field because I mean, it is. I mean, it's a pseudoscience. Come back.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, you know
yeah.
what, Brandon? That's a wonderful belief, and I respect that, and I believe it is possible. The church teaches about it, and I think it's quite possible.
Yeah, guardian angels.
Yeah,
So I mean, we don't know, but that's the thing. We don't know, and we will never officially or fully know that until we're on the other side.
yeah, and I think that's the draw with this field is just people wanting to know, but do it the right way, do it ethically, do it professionally. Don't give lies. Stop the drama. All this paranormal drama, I hear it, I see it all the time. I get involved in it. My name is put in it all the time. I just ignore it.
Well, I get in the drama a lot, like, but that's because I call people out for bad behavior, and
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with keeping people accountable. I'm the same way.
I know you're a busy guy, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing your experiences,
Not a
and
problem.
I definitely want to come out. You're in California, right?
Correct. Yes, I'm in California.
Where where at roughly in Cali?
So I am in the San Francisco area.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, right by
My
Alcatraz.
nice, nice. It's on my list.
Yeah.
I was out in California last May. We
Oh,
we came
nice.
out to the LA area for a wedding.
Oh, nice. Yeah, LA is nice. San Diego's better.
We did go to San Diego because we went to Legoland.
Oh, nice,
I mean,
nice.
Oceanside, but
Yeah, I know about Oceanside. Those are my stomping grounds when I was in the Marine Corps. Every weekend, Liberty, I would go to Oceanside, go down to the movies, go to Colima's Taqueria. There was this place called the Blue Dolphin Motel. Just hang out there somewhere outside of the barracks. So I'm very familiar with Oceanside.
we had fun. It was expensive, but it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. California's expensive, man. It's
Yeah,
super expensive.
that's why I'm in Indiana because it's
Yeah,
cheap.
our gas right now it's 5.17 a gallon.
It's like three. Well, it just went up. It's like 3.79 here.
Ooh, lucky you. I'd love to have those prices.
I know. I just
That's why I had to downgrade from my truck to a smaller car. Gas
what
prices were just ridiculous.
I made the mistake of renting. I had a Ford Expedition that
Yeah.
I rented while I was out there, and I think I spent like $800 in gas in a week.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
did drive to Las Vegas as well. So, but Father, I really appreciate your time. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Facebook. And then Facebook also too has my link tree, but you can get a hold of me at fatherkendoctor.com, spelled out fatherkendoctor.com.
Okay. I will,
Mhm.
when I do the episode notes, I will put all of that in there. So if you go to the podcast or the YouTube, you will be able to
Awesome.
see those links, and you can follow him. I follow him on TikTok as well. Um, but again, thank you for your time. You have a good night. Thank you for
Thank you.
everyone tuning in and asking questions. Obviously, uh, this is a big topic in the paranormal community, and I just, want to get a different perspectives. Like I
Yeah.
want to bring, and I'm going to say their name now. I want to bring the Spirit Stalkers on my show, and I want to hear their story. I want to get their, I want to learn where they're coming from. So,
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's always good to get different perspectives.
oh, why I got you? I just got text from Addie from Madison. I have Madison Seminary on December 5th.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So, so if you want to come to Ohio in December, you're
Yeah.
more than welcome to join us at Madison.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the invitation.
All right, thank you, everybody. I will see you guys all next
All
week.
right.
No, there's no show next week because it's 4th of July, so I will not be having a show. Thank you, Father. You have a good night.
Likewise. Thank you, Cody.
All right, so we heard from Father Ken on a little bit of the demonic in the paranormal field, and I was so glad that he agreed to come on. Again, next week I don't have a show due to being 4th of July, but I will be back July 10th, where I have my friend and author Tori Westhoff. She will be on, and July 17th, I'm going to have Daniel from the Historic Rainworth Lodge. And then July 24th, once again, I think it's like the third or fourth time they've been on my show, but I will have Dark Hollow Paranormal, and they are going to be dropping some cool stuff when they come on. So again, thank you for all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Make sure you go to your local paranormal location and support them. Eloise Asylum, Historic Rainworth Lodge, Fairfield County Infirmary, Madison Seminary, Hinsdale House, just to name a few. Wildwood Sanatorium as well. Yeah, just go visit them because they're all cool people. Again, thank you all. You guys have a good night.